Pasha Paroh, YN7. Thank you for tuning. The replay. If you're catching it on the replay, if you're live with me now, it's great. Give me 1 second here. All right, so, those that's been following along for a while, thank you. On the YNet7 channel, whether you're catching it on YouTube or you're catching it on Facebook. So here's the preface, because what I'm going to say today, it's sensitive, and people I know have emotions. So with that said, a lot of the investment that YNet7 makes into the community is different, because if we're going to fix something that's broken, we must do something different than what we've been doing to continue its failure. Because what we've been doing is why it's in this condition now. So things I'm going to say are things that we've covered on YNet7 are different, because the solution to the problems are different than what the majority is speaking about. If not, then the solutions would be already in place right now. Now, for the people that's already been along with the YNet7, we spend a lot of time on controlling our emotions and emotional health, mental health awareness, gaslighting, all kinds of stuff. That's really at the core of a lot of issues. Now, what inspired today's video is I saw you can't watch. Well, I'm not going to say you can't watch. You know me, I like to speak in truths. And to be true, you have to analyze the whole, or accept the whole infinity. You can't just pull out a variable here and a variable there. You got to look at the whole infinity. So I saw a person's post today, and you can feel when a person's hurt. You can feel when a person's hurt, and that hurt, that pain translates, especially when you're an empath, and some people call you psychic. All right, what I'm getting at is this. Let me tell you this story. There was an emergency at a company. You've heard me tell a similar version of this story. There was an emergency at a company. Panic, chaos. A few people stepped up. They handled the situation. Everybody cheers. And the company puts up a plaque for them in recognition. Right? However, way in advance of the actual issue, the panic, the chaos, there was this other group of people that was saying, hey, look, we need to address A, B, and C or else this is going to happen. The company, the people, society has been conditioned to overlook that value. They overlook the value of the people that bring you the warning ahead of time, or bring the solutions ahead of time, and reward the people who step up in chaos after the destruction or panic or has already ensued. So what I realized is, because I've been, to do what we do on YNet 7 involves a lot of knowledge and a lot of research, and an attempt to bring you complex, quantum physics, basically, and dumb it down to a point where it's understandable, or at least try to dumb it down enough, from that quantum physics level to make it connect with the community on a common level. So what it was involving was a shooting, right? And without going into any of the details, because here's what the reality is. It made me wonder what the actual numbers were, which is the first time I had this thought to investigate this part of it. I've already done research for what I'm going to tell you before, so I'm familiar with that. But this, I wanted to get the numbers to see what the actual numbers were. And in 2019, pull up my notes here. I like to make sure things are accurate for the people because that's important. Accuracy. And in 2019, there were 16,000. And I know this is 2021 for the people that's going to be in their mind or in the comments saying, well, that was 2 years ago. Look, statistics take a while to come out. And this is the accurate information that I could find recently in a short period of time. So in 2019, there were 16,425 homicides total. That's not counting any other, that's not counting the people that didn't die. That's not counting the people that, were just lesser crimes, so to speak. Right? But still, 16,425. That equates to 45 people a day. And I think the current number I saw was 47 for this time period that we're in right now, which is 2 people per day up. But this is the data that I had to complete, the complete data from an accurate, reliable source. Right? So that's 45 people a day. And you know what? If you're, let me put this out there. If you're used to watching TikTok or something like that and having fun all day and you're not really into what me personally, I would call serious discussion, this is going to be a little bit slow for you. It's not going to be that, and then boom, it's over and you're like, wow, no, this is articulation. Okay. And I'm not saying it to say anything about you. I'm just saying it for how I have to do it to process the points I'm trying to make. 45 people per day, right? Which is 45 families affected per day. Whole families, whole neighborhoods. That's like one family per state per day. So when you go into, the studies and stuff, little government statistics and, high-end research and stuff, they label it as divided into three categories, right? For the basic overall root of crime. Because what I have been really pushing is the effect of the economy in its current state on society. Because see, when you're in there just playing a game and you're just, people just trying to have fun, they're going to work, they hate their jobs, they're coming back home, and they're just on the treadmill. You're not thinking about the mechanics of the matrix that you're in, the construct. All right? But this is what they break down: three categories, complex and interrelated, relative to crime. Economic factors / poverty. Now, see that? Pay attention to that. The use of the word of economic is right there. But they give you three categories. Well, let me show you how that's just... I'll show you what they're hiding. Okay? So, economic factors / poverty, I think that's self-explanatory. We're not even gonna... Self-explanatory. You know what I mean? You got people in certain situations. They gotta eat. They gotta feed their family. They gotta house their family. I mean, at some point, what choice do you have? Right? But as long as, some people's bills they got their bills paid, or they got their car and their gas in their tank, or they got this, that, and the other, they don't care. You know what I'm saying? And don't get that confused, society. Don't get that confused with people care, and they offer to help in different ways. Some people want to help feed a person, right? Let's say you feed the homeless one day, and you're like, not to make a mockery of the effort. But then what do? They taking the pictures. They out there with the camera. Look, I gave out 100 meals, right? So gave out 100 meals, which the saying: if you give the man a fish, they can eat for a day. But if you teach them to fish, they can eat for a lifetime. So in reality, when we do food drives and hot meals today, and it's really emotionally it feels really like everybody's doing the best they can, right? So we can't knock the effort. However, that doesn't fix the problem. Now think about business. If a business exists that makes, for example, the United States of America, the United States of America gross domestic product, 17% of the GDP, 17.7% is healthcare related. So if you want to increase profit, for example, let's say not profit, let's say gross domestic products. If you want to push that number up in that area, increase that 17.5%, you need more sick people. So I have a real concern with people who make money off of others' misfortune, because at what point are you really trying to provide solutions instead of just treat the symptoms? Just like Big Pharma, they're not selling cures, right? The hearsay is they're only treating the symptoms because that's where the money is. That's like everything in America, the U.S. That's capitalism at its best. So you see the title of this communication, And it's titled that because, like I said, everybody knows this exists. But as long as it doesn't affect their day, they're fine with it. Now, I'm not saying you need to come and subscribe to YNet 7. But what I do realize is that there's a bunch of people like me around the world that you may not see doing whatever. But what we are doing is really at the core getting into the minds to start to create the framework for the solution's existence. We may not be the coolest, the most popular, the whatever. So those people and that conversation often gets overlooked because people are too busy having fun until they're one of the 45 families today. And at some point, everybody reaches their breaking point. Everybody reaches a breaking point at some point, which is why crime exists to begin with. So, going back to the story about the company, when the people said, hey, this group said 2 years ago, like, for example, look at the building that collapsed in Florida. I mean, we know how the media does their thing. It could have been all a stage. The world is a stage. It could have all been part of the stage play. I know what majority of people saw on TV and the YouTube that collapsed the building in Florida. They claimed that the inspectors told them years prior to that it was a problem. Nobody did anything about it. Then the building falls down, collapses, people, gone. Now everybody want to start crying. This is the same equation. Go, stop by YNet 7 YouTube. We did a video on equations versus variables, because when you stop focusing on the individual variables and picking this point and that point, you can see the whole equation and realize the infinity of the problem. You can't fix the solution. You can't have a solution for the infinity when you're only focusing on point A and point B of the whole alphabet. So here's what I'm getting at. Economic factors, poverty, self-explanatory. But the whole 300 in however many million, some places I've seen it as high as 400 and something million. Who really knows, right? We know it's a lot of motherfuckers out here, but it's a lot of land too. A lot more land in there than people think. That's why they all crowded, in cities and stuff. But all of us play a role in the current state, in the current conditions. Just because you go to work every day and get your check doesn't mean you're not a part of the problem. Just because you have your own business and you're helping your clients, customers, whatever, doesn't mean you're not a part of the problem. All right, let's keep it moving. So the other issue, two bullet points were social environment and family structures. All right? Social environment and family structures. So you got economic factors / poverty. You got social environment, and you got family structures. Now, I joke around sometimes and say I'm a rocket scientist, but this is not rocket science, because you have one bullet point is economic factors / poverty. You have another one that says social environment. Well, what is social environment? And guess where a lot of that, we're gonna touch on that bullet point right now. I have some information for y'all. I'm gonna pull up and show you, and we're gonna walk through this. Because until when something happens, people ask why that happened. Oh my, why that happened? And then you get an answer, and then people stop there and be like, "That's that." Oh, but then you got to ask, well, why did that happen? Why did that happen? Why did that happen? Why? And then you come back to the origin of the problem 10 whys later, which is nothing normally as to what it appears to be on the surface. This is why they want our attention span so short. So we can't think all the way through things. And we react to our emotions instead of respond to situations. Economic factors, poverty, social environment, and family structures. So the reason I'm saying I'm not a rocket scientist by title, but at the core of all those bullet points, I know the first one actually uses the word, but at the core of all the bullet points is economics. What defines your social environment? Economics related. What determines family structures? Economics. It don't matter how you want to run your family if you can't do it that way because one or both or parents have to be out trying to make money to survive as a family. Isn't that conflict? Doesn't that mean the goal is less achievable at the current state because of certain conditions, certain elements your family is involved with? Like this family can send their kid to a private school or boarding school way out in the middle of wherever, versus this other kid has to go to an inner city high school and deal with those conditions and the family, stuff like that. It's all what I'm getting at. I try to give examples because what I do is I know people like I'm learning how to communicate better, right? Because I'm like a computer, but people like stories. They attach to the story, and this is part of why people don't really, as a whole, and this is not directed towards any one person or group of people or male or female, woman, man or woman, any of that. This is generally speaking around the world, across the country. They're so intertwined in their day that until they get a story that they can connect to emotionally. See, that's my thing. I'm not emotional. I'm a computer. I'm truth based. So there is no emotion to me. I'm not saying I don't feel emotions. I'm saying I don't respond or react emotionally. It's a process. You know what I'm saying? Like if you gotta shoot somebody, if you gotta do something, you don't be emotional about it. Be purposeful. So here's what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is the people like to get a story that they can get emotionally attached to, when to me the truth is the story. The data is the story. So a lot of people some people miss that. We have an opportunity to be ahead of the curve by learning to enjoy information instead of emotional attachment, instead of normative social influence. So at the core of all three bullet points, economic factors, poverty, they combine that as one bullet point, social environment, and family structures, right? It's economics. Now, here's what I got for you, okay? Because what I want you to know is, those people that are turning a blind eye to this and not doing anything. Oh, the government's gonna fix it. Well, why would you? And this is not like an attack against the government. I'm just saying, how could you expect them to do something positive about it, right? If they're gonna get budget increases and bonuses, the more these numbers rise. I mean, wouldn't that not make good business sense for them? All right, so here we go. So this is the PNAS, which is the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States of America. Because if I just randomly said these things, there'll be some people out there that would say, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. So I often showcase sources of information. All right. Now, what they're going over here is the role of economics in analyzing the environment. Remember the bullet point was economic factors, poverty, and then social environment. Okay, family structures. So let's key in on social environment. Let's key in on the environment. I'll show you how all this ties together. So the environmental sciences have documented large worrisome changes in the Earth systems from climate change. They give you a little prerequisite here. So and loss of biodiversity, right? Whether you think the world is infinite and abundant or not, this is their sales pitch, so to speak. Okay, so to change in hydrological and nutrient cycles, right? The depletion of natural resources, and if you want a whole in-depth view of resources versus source, I got a video I did on the YNet7 channel, that breaks the resource versus source down. That's an issue in itself. See, a lot of this is going to start with our mentality. You know what I mean? We have to change our mentality because our thoughts become things. Okay, so these global environmental changes have potentially large negative consequences for future human well-being and raise questions about whether global civilization is on a sustainable path or is consuming too much by depleting vital natural capital. Capital being assets, resources, is how I'm gonna interpret that, which encompasses everything from a business side. Because they're making this conversation is in business terms. So now the key word I see is sustainable. And what we have to realize, or opportunity to realize, is everything or what it takes to win. It's a common quote that you hear from me. What it takes to win is unsustainable. Think about that for a moment. What it takes to win is unsustainable. That's why you got to read the book. It's either called Infinite versus Finite Game Theory or Finite versus Infinite. All right. So, but basically what it is the finite mind is focused on winning, which means you up now, you focus on winning. Well, like we said, what it takes to win is unsustainable. That's why every athlete has to retire. That's why, Jordan ain't playing no more. That's why, everything that's up, eventually what goes up must come down, because what it takes to most companies don't last forever. Things go out of business. Look at, Blockbuster, here come Netflix, stuff like that. All right. You get the idea. You get the gist. What it takes to win is unsustainable. Capitalism is basically the game of being up, the game of winning, right? Now, finite theory is not based on winning. It's based on being able. So let me do this. The finite game is being focused or playing to win. That's the way they describe it. You're playing to win. You're playing the game to win. And capitalism is the game, and people are playing to win, right? Finite, infinite game theory is not playing the game to win, but playing to be able to play forever. Huge difference. You know what I mean? Like who won? I don't even watch sports. Who won the NBA championship? Milwaukee, right? But regardless of who won or lost the game, the NBA wins regardless, because the teams are in position to play to win. The NBA is in the position of playing forever. They don't give a fuck who win or lose. They're winning. They're technically winning regardless of who wins or lose, period. And they know there's ups and downs. You know? That's the difference in the thought process right there. All right, so when you see, for me, when I see questions about whether global civilization is on a sustainable path, you can't have the current economic system and call it sustainable. Period. Okay? And then what do they say? Or is it consuming too much? So when you start to have to ask the question, are we consuming too much? Then you're basically stating by default you're the vibration of lack and scarcity. There's not enough to go around. Well, once you're in a vibration of lack and scarcity, now you have supply and demand. Now you have costs going up in a free market. Now, at the same time, you got costs going up for quality, and you got people trying to make a cheaper version of it, which is not quality. And then that creates a divide in who can get what, access to what, right? Like everything, food. You know, you get $1 salad out the vending machine, and you got people paying $100 for a salad, and it's like when you ask why, it's like, how do they make this salad for $1? Well, this $100 salad is importing the best ingredients for, and you know, not to say they're just fresh, they're proper seeds, proper grown, probably just fresh pick. You know, everything's different. So what now creates a nutrient difference? Economics. So now, going back to like when I said, because I said in a post, you know, this, a lot of issues start in the womb. You gotta, again, economics affects everything. Let me showcase what I'm saying here. When the mother is carrying son or daughter, or both, or multiples, all right? Whatever she's experiencing is being programmed into the developing life. So if she's eating poorly, it's programming the developing life to it's creating expectations for it of what the environment is going to be like once it gets outside the womb, once it's born. So when someone is in, what did it say? Economic factor / poverty. Okay? It may be safe to assume they're not eating right. And I'm not saying this is everybody. Don't do that to me. Okay? But what I'm saying is it may be safe to say that they're not eating right. So that's going to change the developing life's chemistry to be in a state of being prepared for scarcity. What's that mean? Probably increased aggression. Probably a whole bunch of physical issues. Maybe lack of appetite. Maybe they're going to crave the same foods and or be fed certain foods throughout certain parts of their life that's going to condition them to keep wanting the same, malnourishment, which creates conditions for them later on in life, etc. Right? So now, just that's just on what your mother ate. Now, did she go to work while she was carrying you? Did she have to go to work while she was carrying you? Was she stressed out at her job? Was she upset? Could she use the bathroom when she wanted to? You see what I'm getting at? What's all that centered around? The current state of economics. Okay. Let's continue. I mean, you get the picture. Throw in the whole equation. You let me know what other variables you think about as far as, talk about them with yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Share this video or not. Maybe you sit down with your family and watch this and have the discussion as a group. I mean, or you can watch TikTok and play, 2K. I don't know. That may be more important. All right? Until your family is one of the 45 today. So, consuming too much, scarcity, that creates a whole dynamic of the haves and have-nots. That creates that. So, the increased scale of, continuing here reading now, the increased scale of economic activity and the consequent increasing impacts on finite. Remember, I just used that word. I didn't even, but it was for something totally different. But look how it goes here. Impacts on a finite earth, right? Which means that it has a limit. The video game, the basketball game and the video game has a limit. So that's finite. We don't want to play to win in the limitation of a game. We want to play to win forever, which means we need a totally different setup if we're going to be able to do that. Okay, so increasing impacts on a finite earth arises from both major demographic changes, including population growth, shifts in age structure, urbanization, and spatial redistributions through migration. So basically, if they're concerned about consuming too much, you're gonna have to add in population growth, right? The shift in age structure is going to determine if you're looking at the situation from a workforce standpoint for people that go to work or have their own businesses and stuff like that. People, what's the percentage of people that are able to are actually producing anything in society, and then you're going to have some people down here that are going to be too young, and you're going to have some people up here that are too old. Not on some old discriminatory stuff. They're either aged out of the workforce, or maybe they're just not able to do certain things physically and conditionally, right? And then you got the youth, which I know a lot of people, whatever, child labor, right? But when you have your own business, you get to decide if your kids help you or not, and you teach them or whatever young. And when you go over to some other countries, not that I've been, but I've heard and I've done a lot of research, so I've seen things in my studies, but not even say in a negative way, But the same thing over there. It's good to show the next generation hands on and get them experience before, they're grown, right? But anyway, urbanization. Now, a lot of the cost of things is simply because it's all got to be shipped. It's got to be created and then shipped across country, around the world, to these certain points where everybody clustered to decide to live. Even though there's all this land and space, we are here, and here. Right? So that adds cost. I had an initiative a while ago where I did some research and posted it for people to so here's why I like to get, the ideas is what's powerful. And the reason why we need to have this conversation is because you're going to be able to do your part. These people over here are going to know the people that have access to funds. These people are going to have this, and this is going to go on, or the whole thing has to be destroyed and rebuilt. But guess what? Whatever the direction is, the people have to agree on it as a destination. See, this is all divide and conquer. Consuming too much, you can't have none. Let me show you this right here. Consuming too much, you can't have none. You know what that's doing with the carbon tax? I mean, this is what the game is being played. So this is what's going to happen. You see this? They got a whole report here talking about this. So they're going to do something. This is where you get into universal basic income. This is where automation's coming into play. This is why they want to decrease the population. Now, we too busy falling off crates. We're going to wake up one day, or somebody's going to wake up one day, and they're going to be like, I don't understand what's going on, as you're getting carted away to who knows where. Why? Because we didn't do nothing about it before it was too late. Because it wasn't cool, it wasn't fun, or we didn't make $1 off of it. And this doesn't matter who you think you look like or who you think you're related to or not. If the Georgia Guidestones said they want to reduce the population to 500 million people and the Earth's got 8 billion on it almost, do you think you're going to make the cut? Do you think they talking about you? But, people like me, we're the weirdos. But let me get to what I'm telling you about. Consuming too much. The carbon tax, greenhouse, global warming. So now, the U.S., quote unquote, already pumping out this much. Oh, Europe's already pumping out this much. China's dumping however much into the atmosphere. Okay, guess what? Everybody, we're at the limit for the Earth. So that means that the developing countries, we know that parts of Africa look like the United States. We know that. But let's talk, I'm just going to say the developing parts of the world now are retarded in their development, or their development is retarded, meaning slowed up. They can't develop now where America and Europe had their freedom to go ahead and burn coal in their factories for decades. They can't do that. They gotta either go without, or they're going to have to invest in the most expensive technology to produce energy, the most expensive when they have the least money or currency. Oh, why? Because consuming too much. All right. So, population growth, shifts in age structure, urbanization, and spatial redistributions through migration. The rising per capita income, here we are here, if you're reading along with me, and rising per capita income shifts in consumption patterns such as increases in meat consumption with rising income. Yeah. Oh, the population's growing, people are eating too much meat. Now we got to produce more meat, but that means that the cost of producing the meat goes up because now we need more space, more to produce more cattle and whatever. So cost goes up, shipping goes up, transportation services are strained. They need more of them. They don't have enough of that. That's got to go up. Everything is going up. And then here you go. What they say? Economic/poverty. So as stuff goes up and up and up, and we're just like, oh no, it's fine, it's just inflation. Then that's causing a strain on the bottom half of the economic structure. So what do you expect them to do? We go into hyperinflation tomorrow, and that loaf of bread is $30 instead of whatever y'all paying for bread. I don't know. I don't eat bread like that. But I mean, not like buying loaves and stuff. But if the bread becomes $30 tomorrow, you don't think that your neighbor might be on the next statistic for crime? They thought they were okay last week, though. It was all good just a week ago. All right, you get where I'm going with that. So, I say at the same time, many people are consuming too little, right? So it's saying that 10% of the world's population lived in extreme poverty with incomes of less than $1.90 per day. Now I know here in the United States, a lot of people skip over this because they're like, "Oh, that's them over there. Wow, that's sad. Let me go to work." But what you need to consider is hyperinflation, regular inflation. Do you realize that it cost $100? The last time I checked, it was within the last year. It cost $100 today to buy what you got for $2 in the 30s. $100 today gets you what $2 got you. So now when you look at this, they're living in extreme poverty with incomes of less than $1.90 per day. Well, that's $2. So 100 years ago, $1.90 per day was $100 a day. So now you got people working for minimum wage at whatever that is. I don't know. Don't fault me for not knowing. I think it's like $7, $8. I don't know. Some people argue for 15. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I'll tell you when I don't know shit. But the point of the matter is, I know it's less than. I don't know, but I think it's safe to say it's less than $10 an hour. I think I think minimum wage is less than $10, and in an 8-hour day times 10, if you get no discount of lunch and anything like that, that's only $80 a day. So technically, minimum wage today is less than the people in the what you're gonna call extreme poverty making $1.90 per day, because $1.90 over there to them, you're gonna be able to feed yourself for 50 cents. You see what I'm saying? It's different. Now don't quote me on the, I ain't pick a country and do the exact math, but you get what I'm saying. Let me run it back. $100 today buys you what $2 did in the 30s. So when you look at this extreme poverty level and talking about, that's some other country, they living on $1.90 per day, you living on less than $2 from what it was in the 30s. But you don't realize it because the way they manipulate the currency. And then you want to blame other people because you feel like you better than them, or you want to turn it, not look and not try to help anything because you feel like, they should go get a job. No, the problem is economics. You're dealing with a fiat currency in a capitalistic society. So you're dealing about winning, having the most, greed, everything that comes with that. And it's creating the system of the have and have nots. But then you want to support it on this side, and you want to be upset when certain things happen because you don't realize that they're actually connected to what you are celebrating over here. It's kind of like that song So-So. Pandemics we all celebrate. The reward is a stronger drug. Okay? You don't realize you're celebrating the pandemic until it hits close to home. All right, so in 2017, 821 million people were malnourished. You know what I mean? All right, so this is urgent. Let's keep reading. This is an urgent need, or there's an urgent need for further economic development. Excuse me. Further economic development to lift people out of poverty. Again, don't get that twisted because you think $1.90 per day is poverty, because if you make $100 a day is poverty today. I just saw something where the I think it was a Ford commercial from the 70s, and the damn brand new car was like $2,000. What car are you buying off the lot brand new for $2,000 today? Do you see the manipulation of money? They tell you it's inflation, but it's really the value of the currency being deflated. So in addition, keep on reading here. In addition, rising. So remember, there is an urgent need for further economic development to lift people out of poverty. When they want to lift people out, again, remember what I said earlier. I really always kind of, I don't really understand. I can't really fully trust people that make money off of others' misfortune, because they'll always need the misfortunate to sustain themselves. So notice the verbiage they're using here. There is an urgent need for further economic development to lift people out of poverty. It didn't say to remove poverty, to extinguish poverty, to eliminate poverty. No, we're just going to lift some people out, and as we lift 10% out, then we'll look good, and we can say we build for this and we'll charge for that, and this is the hurrah. We'll get paid. But that still leaves the other 90% that are in poverty. And guess what we get to do? We get to go in and charge again to get another 5% out. We'll take our time, and we'll, just like the cell phones. We had this technology 10 years ago, but we'll put this out this year, this part out next year, and then we'll add this in the year after that. That way we keep making money. There's no money in the cure. There's no profit in the cure. All right, let's continue. In addition, rising inequality resulting in increasing polarization of society itself. Let me start over so I get that right for y'all. In addition, in addition, rising inequality resulting in increasing polarization of society is itself a threat to achieving sustainable development. That's basically what I was just pointing out to you when I took the little pauses and was throwing out these random variables, just things that come to my mind. You know a bunch more than I do. You know how it's actually affecting you. You know how it's actually affecting your family, your neighbor, your community, people at your job. It's a million different ways. It's an infinite number of ways. Eliminating poverty, right? Here they go, is a goal. But I just told you up here, they just told you they want to lift people out of poverty. Now, when you say your goal is to eliminate, but you're saying your goal, your charter is to lift people out, I just told you what that means. They're going to come in and do a little bit at a time. But lifting people out of poverty is still wasteful when you could just eliminate the opportunity for poverty to exist. Like if you're going to fix it right. Otherwise, you're just putting Band-Aids on shit so that the patient can return, so that you can keep doing more work and prescribing more prescriptions. Hunger. You see the memes that, what they spend on the military machine of the U.S. alone could solve world hunger for like tenfold. But that's not, there's no money in that they see. However, if they were to feed everybody and get them all up to a standardized level, right? Guess what that would do? That would create so much more innovation, so much more productivity, so much more production. It would put so much more into the economy because people have their basic necessities of life, and they're free to go and create and contribute to society in the way that they see fit. How do you do that? You gotta eliminate the need for currency. Everybody gotta have equal rights to everything. Now, the gift and the curse is, this is the push that you see being made. If you're watching the videos, then on YNET 7, then you see we're talking about some of these things. We're talking about universal basic income. We're talking about the fact that everything's going automated as far as the jobs, and that what that's going to do is that's potentially is going to create a situation where nobody's going to work, which is why they're beta testing universal basic income. You thought it was called a stimulus, but what it is let's see how this works out. We give people money and have them sit home and not to work, because once we do stocks on here too. So we were talking about the stock because with all the cars and stuff, right? And the car industry, like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little longer, had their little meeting. The whole world car industry said, hey, look, we're going to be able, it was a small article about this big in the paper. Matter of fact, maybe it was more years ago than that, because it's been a while. So it was a small article. And they said, we're going to be able to have all of the cars in the world, not just like in America or California or New York, all the cars in the world, we're going to be able to have replaced with fully autonomous vehicles in 20 years. And that sounds, you can feel how you want about electric vehicles or self-driving cars, and you can make that argument all fucking day. But let me tell you what the real issue is. 17%, that's a magic number, right? 17%, no, literally though, look it up. 17% of the global, not just American GDP, right? So we talked about the gross domestic product of the United States earlier. This 17% of the gross domestic production of the world is what you would call a driving related job. So what that means by default is they're anticipating in 20 years from whatever date that article was written, that 17% of the whole world is not going to have their job anymore. Your local McDonald's and Burger King and whoever is great. I see it as a setup. They're like, oh, McDonald's paying, or whoever it was, Burger King, whoever, $20 an hour for, well, they're doing that because they're reducing the staff, right? And it looks good on paper and it makes people feel like they're making progress. But as they're reducing the staff, guess what they're going to bring in? Robots to flip the burgers. Robot arms that's going to be making the fries. Eventually, they're going to have little robots bringing out your little tray. So it'll only be 2 people working at the whole McDonald's. So what does it matter that they making 20 because you lost? Not going to say lost, but the other, I don't know how many people work at a McDonald's, like counting all the shifts. I don't know. But let's say it's 50 people total, right? The other 48 people are going to be now unemployed. So what's the gift and the curse with that is that it creates a situation, it creates a dynamic where what it costs to produce anything and everything is going to be racing to a 0 point. This is also why you see the timely addition to conversations about digital currencies. Because if they're going to have universal basic income, they want to be able to monitor it, control it, establish a system where they can, ching, here's your check. Oh, you talk too much about, changing the world. We're going to take some money from you. We're going to keep you in check. They want to be able to have all that control because you're not going to be able to work anymore. So if you think crime is bad now, what do you think is going to happen during that transition? Okay. So, hunger, they told they want to get rid of that. We spoke about that. Achieving gender equality. I'll let you guys run in your own mind with that one. Reduce the inequality. Same thing there. It's kind of self-explanatory, at least on the paper form. So, feature prominently in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So, see, here we go. Sustainable. Key word, sustainable. Remember, what it takes to win is unsustainable. So you up right now. But guess what? when all the jobs are robots and they say, okay, guess what? Ain't no more US dollar. We're going to go to this digital currency. And guess what? Because we not working, everything's free basically in some way, shape, or form. Then those people, those big attorneys or those big doctors or the athletes that were, I ain't gonna say whoever, there's good people that got large incomes, and then there's the snobby people, and so you make your own. But what I'm getting at is the people over here that have that I'm better than you, this, that, and the other mentality. They're gonna be fucked up in the game, because then it's not gonna matter if you want a Porsche or a Hyundai. You're gonna just be able to pick and get it. But see, the thing is, at the same time, even if you ask people if they had $1 million, realistically, what do you want to buy, a Porsche or a Hyundai? It's still gonna be people that want the Hyundai. It's still gonna be people that want to buy a Toyota. Or let's remove the word buy. Just own a Toyota instead of a Ferrari. So once we reach a point where everything is free, basically. Now, the fact that opens us up to the potential for a whole bunch of corruption, and you know what that could lead to. We've seen the movie Hunger Games, I'm sure. But the opportunity is that at that point in time, all of humanity, if this was to be magically done overnight for the whole world, all of humanity could just simply focus on their creativity. And I know we got a spiritual community out there, and we got religious people. I'm not going to make the argument of what's what with that today, but without going into any variables with that, it gives the humanity an opportunity to work on their creativity and whatever their spiritual or religious connection is, which actually would help the whole humanity ascend and rise in consciousness and vibration and frequency, which is another conversation if you're not chakra oriented. I told you everything we talk about here is quantum physics, it's energy. Okay? So now what's happening in society as a result of this commerce, as a result of this unsustainability, and is this killing off? In a lot of cases, you heard the saying where the graveyard is the richest or the wealthiest place. You've heard that. I didn't make it up. I'm just sharing it with you. I didn't create that saying. You know it already. I'm just reminding you of it. And it's because, damn, we're like the only country that says, when you're 18, get the fuck out. Now for y'all out there that are dealing with that, that's good. You had the great opportunity. My mother was telling me when I was 12 years old, she couldn't wait till I was 18 so I can get the fuck out. I was only 12. Right? So if you made it to 18 before you had that conversation, you had it made. Okay? So imagine, I'm not saying I'm the only one. Don't feel sorry for me. It made me who I am today, because I'm always the perfect day person. Right? So that in itself is some sort of investment into that youth. You know what I mean? I think almost all of us was like, even if anybody had that parent that was like, yo, you're 18, it's gonna be time for you to go soon, you know what I mean? That's fucking stressful, bro. You ain't got no real job then, probably. You ain't got no money saved. I mean, I'm talking generally speaking. I know we even had some hustlers out there doing their thing, but generally speaking, it's like, how do you expect? We're setting our whole generations up for failure. Why? Why are we doing that? Why? Oh, because our parents, want us out the house. Why? Probably because the house is too small. And what I mean by that is not to insult your house or your home or your parents, what they did, but what I mean is there's not enough space for us. You're on top of each other, right? In some way, shape, or form. When somebody else is home type stuff. Versus if everybody had 4,000 square feet, 8,000 square feet homes, you probably wouldn't be in such a rush to kick your family out on the street. And you say, well, Pasha, how can we do that? I did a video on why that's 7 where I broke down. Check the channel out. Subscribe if you want to. I do this all the time for you. But where we reviewed was, I called that something like, is your family spending estate money on apartments? So think about this. How many people do you have in your family? How many siblings you got? Let's say there's 4 of y'all all together. And let's say you all came. Let's just, for example, I know this is not the reality, but let's say that you all have the same parents and you're living in the same home. So I can make this math a little easier. All right. Now I'm doing this off the top, but if you go back and watch that video, I actually did this with real properties and the real mortgage calculator and all that shit, where it factors in everything for expenses, maintenance cost, all that shit. I did everything out there, real time, real life, and then showed you real properties that fit this dynamic. So I think it got like 25 views. You know what I mean? So 25 people out there got the message. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else was talking shit about me. Nah, seriously. Look, but here's what it is. So let's say your parents are still paying on their home because maybe they got a 30-year mortgage instead of a 15, right? So they're still paying on their home. Let's say they're paying, I don't know, let's say $1,500, $2,000. Is that about right? So whatever it is for you, $700, I don't know. Let's just use $2,000 so I could drive this point home. The parents are paying $2,000 for their home. It had, enough space for you and your 3 siblings. Now, let's say you're all kind of close enough where you leave like maybe 1 year after each other, just so it all makes sense, right? It's the same thing if you spread out the time period and ages, but let me just put it to you so it's boom, 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 boom. So your parents is paying $2,000 a month for their home. You 18, you gotta get out, go get you an apartment. You're gonna be paying $1,000 for yours. So let's say boom, 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 boom. All the kids grow up, they're out. They each go and get their little $1,000 apartment, right? Or maybe they got lucky and could get $1,000 a month home. I don't know, but let's just say they're spending $1,000 a month on their living, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 brothers and sisters, brothers and or sisters. That's $4,000 a month, and then the parents are paying $2,000. So that's $6,000 a month your family spending to keep. If you take the equation instead of the variables of, oh no, that's their house, they got their own stuff. It's $6,000 a month that your family, just the immediate family. That's not even counting grandma and uncle, cousin, but you get what I'm saying. So it's $6,000 a month with that example that your family is spending to keep a roof over its head in different places. Do you know what kind of house you would get with a mortgage that was $6,000 a month? You know how big of a house that is? I seen one. I think it was in that video. Go watch the video. But it was dual. It was 2-story. Had column. Had a porch on the up story, and the columns coming down. A little like everything wrapped around porch, like all kind of thing. It was 11,000 square feet. I don't think it was more than $6,000 a month. So if you had 11,000 square feet, why wouldn't y'all all just stay together? Oh, because we can't get along. Because we can't agree on a destination. And work together to get there. And that's all most of the people here. I don't care what you look like. Why? Because America has been brainwashed to say, oh, 18, get a job, get out. Why? Because the banks have the housing. They created the house so they could sell you the mortgage. When banks first came out, what were the people getting loans for? You might start a business. Pretty much it, because back then everybody was just worried about getting their business together, handling business. Now it's everything else. So we're gonna create the home. Remember, we got that's what this whole cycle is: create the problem, offer the solution. You've heard this before. It's the same thing as the beers and the diamonds. They weren't wearing diamonds in the 1900s. There was no diamond engagement rings. That's a marketing campaign, and we didn't, as a whole, we don't know. We didn't know that. So we out here talking about, oh, I need. My bad. I hit the microphone. You see what I'm saying? So the same way De Beers came and produced the craze of spend 2 months salary. What the fuck is you making 2 months? I don't. You got people out here that's making $2,000 a month. You got people out here that's making $10,000 a month. They telling them they supposed to spend 2 months salary on a fucking ring, and now that's what society is looking at you for. What I'm getting at is that's the same thing that happened with the houses. The banks got together and said, we're going to create these houses so we can sell a mortgage. And the word mortgage means death pledge. And then people get a mortgage not realizing that when you pay off the mortgage, the word deed, the word tenant actually means, the word to have your name on a deed basically means that you're the tenant. And you know what tenant means when you live in an apartment. It makes sense. So people go through all this mortgage payments just to become the tenant of a property that they think they own, but they still owe payments on. And then you want to throw your whole family out there to go through the same suffering because we don't understand economics. Now, if the family get together and say, look, man, we got to do this for not for us, but for those 2 generations, for the grandbabies. Then you go out there and you go ahead and you sacrifice, or if you do it right, it's not even sacrifice because you're agreeing on the purpose, so everybody gets to go through it and enjoy it. You see other cultures do this all the time. They come over, they get a house, they be in the house 20, 30 deep. Y'all laughing at them. But each one of them only paid $20 a month, and they got a whole mortgage payment paid for. And then what they do is they pay that one off so quick, and they bring over the next 20, 30 people and put them in the house next door. They don't move out. They bring over another 20 or 30 and put them in the house next door. Now they got 2 houses, 60 people deep. Everybody paying $20 a month. Now, imagine, like I said, go back to that property I said. You can pay $6,000 a month for a mortgage. You got a credible square feet. Now, guess what? That property might be $1 million or more. So think about what y'all doing with these little toy houses. You might as well have an apartment. You're going to spend in, and I'm not saying this as an insult. Okay? So I hate when people be like, oh, you said this, and oh my God, how could you say that? Motherfucker, I don't know what else to say, okay? I didn't write a script. You can either listen to me and get the information, or you can cry about some shit. All right? Work with me. I'm trying here. Damn it. So, you got a $150,000 home, and in your mind, you're like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get to the point. Either we got this much paid off, and we're going to sell it, and we're going to go buy a bigger house and do this and whatever. Or we're going to pay it all the way off, and then we'll sell it and put that into a bigger property. Well, what the fuck do you think you can do if you start off with a property, the whole family, that's $6,000 a month? Now y'all pay that shit off in the same amount of time. A 30-year mortgage is a 30-year mortgage, or a 15-year mortgage. No matter what the fucking end result value is, it's still going to be 15-year commitment or a 30-year commitment. So you can do the same exact thing with $1 million property, $2 million property, but y'all too busy talking about you got parents kicking you out at 18. You got to go get your own shit. You can't be on my car insurance. Why? Because of economics conditions. Because the millionaires and billionaires, they leaving their kids at home in the 20,000 square foot mansion while they flying around the world all year, call them twice a year, check on them. These motherfuckers got a whole, you know what I mean? That's the difference. And I understand that you can say, hey, that person's a millionaire or billionaire, but collectively your whole family makes $1 million. I'm sure. Or has made $1 million. All right, let's get back to this. So where were we at here? Achieving frequently recent. Okay, a recent special issue in PNAS, and for those that just joined us, we're reviewing. And if you joined us late, I appreciate you. Not say late, I just popped up. You know how I do. I just pop up. But that's why I say subscribe, because I don't do this with any sort of regularity. I do it when I feel it, when I feel the need. And this way you can get notified when I have this stuff, or just go watch the channel, subscribe to YNet7 and review that. It'll be on there. But we're reviewing right now the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States of America. So let me find where we were at here. Okay, so a recent special issue in PNAS on natural capital framed the challenge of sustainable development as one of developing economic, social, and governance systems, right, capable of ending poverty and achieving sustainable levels of population and consumption, while securing the life support systems underpinning current and future human well-being. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm into etymology, and if you go to the channel, you're going to get a lot of etymology. Why? Because first of all, once we understand that the words we use every day actually mean something totally different than what we were taught, we can then better understand what the law is actually saying to us. That how many people we know, we talking about crime. How many people we know fucked up with traffic court, this court, that court, this. Okay? Because we don't understand the words. That's why I do this. Because I won 3 out of 4 of my own court cases. Myself. Against, at one time, I had 6 state prosecutors sitting over there against me. I've had the judge stand up and give me a standing ovation at the end of the shit and tell me he wished more Americans would come in here and be able to do this shit. So I know what the benefit is. I know what the value is, and it hurts me every fucking day. People wait till they see this article, like I said in the beginning, and then they feel pain. I feel pain every fucking day, all day long, because I know what it takes, but nobody's listening. And I'm not alone. There's other people out there like me. It may be you. That's probably why you're here too, watching this, because we all on the same side of the coin. That's why like attracts like. You know? But you're not necessarily the cool person. Because you were too busy studying while everybody else was playing. This is what allows you to stand on your square, and everybody else just wait for the panic. But the danger is, because everybody's playing, this is what they doing because they not playing. Now let's read this sentence again. Or at least this part here. Right? I'll read the whole sentence again. Fuck it. A recent special issue in the PNAS on natural capital framed the challenge of sustainable development as one of developing economic, social, and governance systems. I told you it was economic. Here we go to the word social. Why? Because they're talking about the social environment. And then we have the family structure, which is really a byproduct of economics and social shit. And governance systems capable of ending poverty, which you gotta be careful with this shit, because ending poverty to them may be just like getting rid of the poor. You know, like where did the homeless people go? Where did the tent city go? Nobody know where those people went. In some cases, where did they go? They came through, cleared them out. They took them somewhere. In some cases, where did they go? Remember when your mom used to be like, "Yo," or your mother or father used to be like, "Clean your room," and you were like, "You trying to go somewhere?" And they're like, "Clean your room first." So you just slid all that shit under the bed, made your bed real quick. It was out of sight now. So it looked like it was, it was gone. You got rid of that shit. I mean, unfortunately, we're talking about human lives here, though. So, and achieving sustainable levels. This is where it gets a little weird, if you know what they're saying here. So ending, this is why I said that about ending poverty, because look at what they follow it up with. Ending poverty, which could just mean get rid of people. I mean, because technically that's the infinity. You got, how do you end poverty? Well, we could do this and make sure everybody got money, or we could just get rid of the poor. I mean, it's a whole infinity in between. They didn't say what, how, when. And I deal in project management for a while, most of my life, really. But this is what shit like this, when you're writing a report, this is why you write like that, because you're going to be able to get 100 times more money if you say ending poverty instead of giving one variable. Because now you need money to do 45 things, because under ending poverty, you got 45 different options just from wording it like that, instead of saying, hey, yeah, we're going to make sure that people have more money. This is what I'm saying. If you understand etymology, not only will you understand the law better, but you'll also understand contracts better. I want y'all to be right out there, because what's going to happen is this information is dying out of society, and they're counting on that, because then nobody's going to know. That's the importance of why I do this, so that you can be made aware, so that you can share with those around you that you care the most about. When I first started doing this, everybody else wanted to, they wanted to be the whatever. They didn't have time for this. So they all turned their back on me. And I was left to do this alone, because this is my purpose. And you can't be mad at people that separate from you, because you got different purposes in life. Some of us are doing it for real good, and they don't get a lot of attention or a lot of funding or a lot of backing. And then you got the people who are actually part of the problem, who get all the attention, all the funding, because people that, especially when you're dealing with government, the government is the one creating the issue, so they can provide the solutions and they can get paid. They make money off both ways, hand over fist. So when they start giving out money, it's an agenda behind that. You could write a grant, but do you want to be a part of that agenda when you get the money? Because technically that means you're going to be responsible for what's happening in your community, because you wanted to get a check. We easily say how entertainers and stuff sell out for fame and fortune. You got people at your local job making whatever dollar amount they make, and they done sold out on the whole, everybody, the people there, so that they can make sure that they get their little $15 an hour. What's the difference? That's why people like me, and like I said, it's a lot of us. I'm not the only one. This is no means saying, hey, look at me. I'm just happen to be the one that speaks about it. But there's a lot of people like me. I mean, there's a lot of people in the world, but so it's relative. But there's a lot of people like me, that you're doing things, but you don't. This is why they keep you away and out of sight, because you're actually trying to make a difference. They're invested in sticking to what? The PNAS. The what? The Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Proceedings. Basically, they're saying this is the action we're going to take. This is what you should expect. We're going to do one way or another at all costs. Because why? It don't matter what the cost is to us, because we print the money. We kind of had the advantage. So, here's where it gets interesting. Like I said, ending poverty. We went over that. We talked about that. But here they follow it up with achieving sustainable levels of population. What the fuck is that? Like I slid it in there. It was kind of, done with a little humor. I know everybody don't get my humor, but that's fine. When I said the Georgia Guidestone said they want to reduce the population to 500 million people. You got 8 billion people on the planet, and then you got the nerve to have someone over here looking down on this group of people, thinking they're better than them because of the color of their skin, like they're going to be part of the 500 million after the reduction from 8 billion. You think you any different? That's why the whole shit is dumb as shit. Y'all arguing with each other when y'all gonna need each other to overcome this proceeding they got coming for y'all motherfuckers. All of y'all. The fuck you arguing with each other for? That, you know what that is? That's divide and conquer. That's divide and conquer. But we're too busy falling off crates. Those videos go viral because they like to see us fall. They like our downfall. Remember, because it's about winning, it's about being up. And they up like a motherfucker. That's why it's important, the people that see this, that you physically share this, that you physically come to the channel and see it, because they're not going to put this in front of you as often, as randomly as the people falling off the crate. Why? Because it's fucking informing you on what you need to do in your life. I'm not telling you how to do it. Now we can all come together. That would be some powerful shit if we could all come together and decide how. That's what we do in corporations. You know, like I had a leadership role in a 96 rank company on the Fortune 500 doing some big shit there, but I just didn't talk about it because I'm just used to it. I've been doing shit like that on different levels my whole life. The same time I've been living next door to you, blowing an L and talking about what the fuck we gonna do to change this shit. So, achieving sustainable levels of population. What the fuck? Alright, and consumption. So, not only are we going to try to somehow achieve a sustainable level of population, whatever the fuck that means, right? You decide. We also going to try to achieve a sustainable level of consumption, which is why they're going to already tell y'all, if you don't already know, you're not going to be able to own anything and you're going to be happy is their new motto. You're not going to be able to own a car. They're going to have cars. That's why the automated cars are coming, because you're going to have ride service and ride sharing everywhere. And they're going to blame it on the fact that, oh, there's too many people and we need to cut down on consumption and the population of cars and this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, what they're doing is they're taking your freedom away. Once the Uber becomes automated, they're going to be able to control if you can go anywhere or not. Because you ain't got a fucking gas-powered car to get nowhere on your own that drives itself. And if it's not affecting you directly, this is what the plan is for your granddaughter's grandson. How you feel about that? This is why people are like, oh, he's antisocial. He's angry with everybody. Whatever the fuck they be saying about me. No, I'm not. I'm just truthful. And I'm you know, and when you're the only one, or not to say the only one, when you're one of the few that see this shit, and you try to talk to other people and you watch them laugh at you, it means that they don't give a fuck about your fucking future, your family, motherfucker. That's what it means. So you talking to somebody and they were like, yo, fuck you and your family, motherfucker. What? How you feel about that shit? They don't realize that's what they saying to you. When they be like, nah, we ain't worried about that. We gonna go over here and go to the strip club. We gonna take our money and go to the strip club. Then we gonna wonder why we ain't got nothing in our community. We put all the money in the strip club. I mean, I'm trying to add a little humor. This is nothing against the strippers. As Boosie Badass said, we need our strippers, right? So what I'm getting out, more humor, okay? So anyway, but seriously, we do need the strippers. So what I'm getting at is this, though. We had the opportunity. We make the choices. They want to achieve a sustainable level of population. They want to achieve a sustainable level of consumption. So after they figure out they can control the fact that you're not going to be able to own a house no more. If they doing that now, by the time you're, like I said, your grandson's granddaughter gets here, I switched it up for you. What the fuck is it going to be then? Are you even going to have houses? Are you even going to be able to go anywhere? How are they going to decide who gets to ride first? You think it's bad now. So while securing the life support systems, all right, so they're wanting to achieve sustainable levels of population, sustainable levels of consumption, while securing the life support systems underpinning current future human well-being. So that sounds good, but that tells me they looking to own everything that you need to support life. They want to control it. And y'all too busy. We too busy fighting because someone stepped on our sneakers at the club. We just killed that dude. That was our sneaker. That really cost $3 to make in China, having its mark on it, was worth taking our brother's, or in some cases sister's, life. For a fucking sneaker. So they want to secure the life support systems, the life support systems, all of them. It didn't say some, it didn't say this one or that one. Secure life support systems. We want to secure everything. You know what secure mean? I mean, get control of. We talking military terms now. Secure the life support systems underpinning current and future human well-being. We gonna decide if your human can have well-being. Achieve sustainable levels of population. Achieve sustainable levels of consumption. We gonna decide how many people you can have. China, they just changed the baby limit, right? The family size limit. Achieving sustainable levels of population. We're going to decide how many of y'all it can even be, period. We're going to decide how much y'all can consume. Matter of fact, we going to secure all life support systems for everything you need for human well-being. Guess what? That means you're going to have to depend on us. Because some of y'all sounding too free. And the other ones, they've been complaining. Well, that one over there sound too free. Boss, we got to do something about that. And they like, yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. Matter of fact, how can we do that to all these motherfuckers? And then we'll be the only ones left. It's a good idea. Hey, look, we're going to give you some money. We're going to fill out this grant. We're going to give you some money. You're going to make it happen. You may or may not even realize you part of the fucking problem. Because you're getting a check. Why? Economics. That's the only reason you want the check to begin with. The current capitalistic system based on fiat currency, which means that they just print the money. You killing each other for paper, literally. I'm not saying you, but we, humanity. All right, let's see what else they talking about here. Matter of fact, I think you get the idea. Okay. But this next paragraph does look pretty interesting. Let's do one more paragraph, all right? So, the discipline of economics arguably should play a central role in meeting the Sustainable Development Challenge. You know what I mean? Like, I got a weird sense of humor, I know. This may or may not be the right time, but work with me, okay? It gets me through this shit, all right? We got the crate challenge. They got the Sustainable Development Challenge. Who the fuck is winning? This is why I ain't got no friends. This is why you ain't got no friends if you watching this at 11:39. But it's because we supposed to be the ones leading this change. That's why we got to know it first. So I'm talking directly to you. That's why you watching this now. So the core question, to carry on, at the heart of sustainable development is how to allocate the finite resources of the planet to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Let's repeat that. The core question at the heart of sustainable development is how to allocate the finite resources of the planet to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Who? We ain't write this shit. Who future generations they talking about gonna be able to meet their own needs in the future? And which future generations are they talking about without compromising the ability of future generations? The needs of the present without compromising the ability for the future generations to meet the needs. I don't know. Just let me know what you think. Is it us? George Guidestone said 500 million people left on the planet. All right. So a central focus of economics is how to allocate scarce resources to meet desired goals. And this again, allocate finite resources, scarce resources. That's basically saying we gonna figure out how to decide who get what when. We gonna figure it out. Why? Because y'all ain't got access to shit. What they say up here, we securing all life supporting systems. We gonna achieve a sustainable level of population. We gonna decide how many of y'all. We gonna decide what you can consume, how much of that. We gonna achieve a sustainable level of consumption. We gonna decide that. So yeah, how to allocate. Now down here they spelling it out for you. How to allocate scarce resources to meet desired goals. Well, whose goals? We ain't write this shit. Me and you didn't. We weren't in this meeting. Were you? I don't know. If you were, let me know, man. Come out at me. Let me come to the next one. Now they gonna kick my ass out. They gonna kick my ass out. They gonna. So, indeed, they kick me out of every group. They be like, "Yo, you trying to?" Yo, man, I be coming in there in the groups, man. I be telling them, like, this is what we need to do and this is what you need to focus on. They be like, yo, you're disruptive. I got kicked out of a group last week and they told me I was disruptive for telling them how to improve their business. But they didn't know that, they didn't know my background. They just saw me, a beard, ain't had a shape up in years. Antenna. I don't call these dreads. I call them antenna. That's another conversation. So they made their assumptions. They figured I didn't know what I was talking about. But I like that. That's why I don't do nothing to myself to impress others. Because I would rather see how you really feel about me to see if we can really rock together. Now, then I decide, because what my purpose is for the people. It's for the world. So I'll deal with certain people that really are very nasty. But y'all think they're really great. Because y'all don't see them as who they are. Y'all see them as a resource for what you need. I'm more interested in the people, who you are. I will go without before I bow or be entertained by something that doesn't vibe with me. I will get rid of people before I sacrifice my own peace. And as far as I'm concerned, this is why the gatekeepers need to be held accountable, because look at the leader of that group. Before they even knew who I were, they sacrificed the value I could have added to all the business owners in that group. Why? Because they don't like the words I use. Why they don't like the words I use? Because they don't know what the fucking words mean. And then going back to mental health awareness, they don't understand in their self where the insecurity is coming from. So then they go into a state of grief and they blame me instead of blaming themselves for not asking a fucking question if they didn't understand what I was saying. I don't tell people, hey, could you talk more professional? I'd say, hey, when we are talking about etymology, I let you know the words don't mean what it mean. But if we're just having a conversation, I don't be like, well, hey, don't talk to me like that. I need you to use complete sentences. I don't do that shit to y'all or people. So my point is, the gatekeeper kicks you out the group, the whole group suffers. Now they still doing business fucked up because they don't know no better. And you could have helped them, but they got rid of you because they didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. And this is what perpetuates the ignorance. This is what perpetuates, because the word proud, you can go back to the YS7. I'll tell you, I got tons of videos on there covering shit, because at the core, I'm giving us what we need to fix. Not when you ask why this happened, but when you ask why did that happen, and then you get 2 things, and you say, well, why did each one of them happen? You get 20 things, and then you go through and look at all 20 of them, and you wind up with a list of 100 things that you need to fix just to prevent and make sure that this one thing never happens in the future. But that takes, attention span, which is why they're trying to kill everybody's attention span, so you can't think through any processes. I've made companies billions of dollars, maybe millions of dollars. Let me keep it realistic. Millions of dollars. They pay me whatever they pay me. You know what I mean? Like everybody else. And my goal now is to actually take what I've gathered, the information I've gathered in my life, and invest it into our communities, because I know what the problem is, and I know what the solution is. And I was my dumb ass, because I told you I'm not the best with people. I'm the best with destinations. And like I said, I will go by myself if I need to. So my hurdle of overcoming was, and that's why I really appreciate the opportunity I had at the last, because my thing is, I go into these corporations where people are focused on paying to go get an education and learn something, so somebody can sign off a little piece of paper to say this, and they go pay for something, they think they're better than you because they got a little degree. You see my little Facebook thing, it says I went to Dell Tech, but I went there for certifications. I didn't go for a degree, because a degree would change my status, for those who are aware of what that means. I'm American. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm American. So I get paid to learn, because these companies and corporations, and this is a good way to view it, they spend millions and billions of dollars on getting the knowledge. They gonna give it. What they don't give to me, I go in there and I take. You don't need to be doing this. You're not an engineer. You know what? Fuck that. Let me show you I can do this shit down here. It might take me an extra week. All right. It might take them a month. It might take me 5 weeks. But fuck that. You saving a lot of money, because I'm gonna do this shit. Oh, yeah. Watch this. Shut the fuck up. All right. Damn. How'd you do that? I told you I could do this shit. I just, maybe I couldn't articulate the words at first, but now I know the language. Let me talk to y'all for a minute. That's how I do shit. All right. When I was at Discover Financial, these motherfuckers paid $32,000. They paid $32,000 for someone to come in and teach me tone. Now I was part of a group, but I take ownership of that opportunity to learn. So they paid $32,000. As far as I'm concerned, they paid 32 grand years ago in the early 2000s. So that was probably like 50 grand in today's money. So they paid $50,000 for someone to come in and teach me tone, because we worked on the phone, and you don't have the ability to use body language and all the other cues of the human interaction. So when I got somebody in my face talking about, oh, you don't got a degree? Oh, we went to somewhere. We got a degree, and we're using it. No, but so you pay how much? We paid what you paid? $32,000 a year. You went to one of the big boy schools. Oh, you paid 30 something thousand for your whole college. Okay, fuck that. These motherfuckers paid 50 grand for me to learn tone. And then I talk to you, and you think because it's so like soft and eloquent that I'm soft. Nah. I just was taught how to speak so you can do business, and I may not use words that you like, but you gotta admit the flow is tight. All right? So what my point is this, right? These motherfuckers want to allocate the resources to meet desired goals. And none of the goals they're talking about we had anything to do with. We didn't set the goals. They teach you how to control the call. right? When you're on the phone. To me, that's the same thing as controlling a conversation. So then you wonder why people that naturally want to gaslight you don't like talking to you, because they can't control you. Why? Because they can't get to your emotions. So they gotta go tell everybody you're evil and don't fuck with you, because in reality they just mad that they can't control you while they controlling everybody else. This is why you get kicked out of groups. There's nothing wrong with you. So, all right, let's keep it going here. They're going to control the scarce resources to meet their goals, not ours. We ain't got shit to do with it. They ain't ask us. Indeed, a standard definition of economics is sturdy. I'm continuing reading here. Indeed, a standard definition of economics is the study of allocation under scarcity. More specifically, I know that's one of them words. You know what I mean? We all struggle with that, I'm sure. Economics studies and production, right? Distribution. So more specifically, economics studies the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. So they're going to study, production, distribution, consumption of goods and services. So think about everything that's maybe not a good now, but a service. They gotta regulate that shit too. We need control. What they say? Control, secure the life support systems. Aye, Captain. That's what y'all out there saying. That's what your neighbor out there saying. Aye, Captain. So when they say, when your neighbor is told by their upper management or their leadership that you are the enemy because you want to be free, they're going to say, aye, Captain. So, where are we at here? Which are both a key driver of development, increasing standards of living through providing food, housing, and other basic human requirements. Now, look at this. We've been reading through this, and now they want to say increasing standards of living through providing food, housing, and other basic human requirements. But they're talking about, I'm going to say the word decreasing, because to say it's achieve a sustainable level of population means that at some point you got to cut that shit off. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, if this your last L, you might want to put that motherfucker out so that you can sustain that length for how long you're going to be high, because you can smoke it later. You already high. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to sustain that shit by clipping that motherfucker. So in order to increase standards of living, now you see how it's going to have to be some cuts. Let me tell you why I took such pride, or I was so proud of the stuff I do. Like the last project I worked on before I left, man, I was able to generate an additional $750,000 in sales potential. That means that the production line that I went in and modified the process for, now they're able to run to the point where they can generate an extra almost $1 million a year with only $80,000 invested. So you give me 10%. I mean, not to guarantee this is always going to be the math, but in that case, it was almost 10% down, and you're going to make, $80,000. I mean, $750,000 extra every year from now on. The reason why I'm proud of this sort of stuff is because that guarantees $1 million almost in salary for the employees there to make sure that they can still take care of their family. And you're saying, Pasha, you work for a multi-billion-dollar corporation that was global with 90,000 employees, and you just happen to be in the leadership. What the fuck do you think you're doing? Well, what I mean is, when companies get so big, right, you got other companies that's in the same space as them. So what happens is there's only so much what they call market share. So once everybody fills up, and let's say you in the biggest company, well, they got other small ones or with competitors, so to speak. So the whole market is taken up. So then now where do you grow? You can't grow anymore because the market you might get a couple people you steal from, this company or clients or customers that just say they like your business better, but it's really small in comparison to the whole market. That's negligible, right? So what do? They start eating themselves. They say, oh, we're going to cut this. We're going to cut that. No more of this. As a matter of fact, let's just get rid of 2,000 people altogether. Boom. And we'll take their salaries. Now we're going to take all that money that we quote unquote saved and we're going to slide it over to profits because we got to keep the stockholders happy. They don't want to hear that we didn't make no profit this year. So we're going to sacrifice the people. We're going to sacrifice the coffee. We're going to, tell you we got to cut the, we don't have any air conditioning this year like the schools did. You see what I'm saying? They eat themselves. Isn't that the same thing that's happening in the community? Do you think the corporation is any different than the community? We're eating ourselves. And it's part of their, we're going to figure out how to make sure that we're going to control the population and make sure we control the resources and everything. Here's a grant for you. Go make sure that they think we're doing something good for them. And meanwhile, this is the real agenda. I'm really nervous about people that, you know what I'm saying? A doctor only makes money off of sick people. You think they don't want to make their salary next year? You think they ain't trying to get a 10% increase in their cash flow? This is why you get kicked out of groups. This is why they don't want to talk about you. Because what you trying to do is going to fuck up their money. And poor leadership manipulates the people to grow the money, while great leadership manipulates the money to grow the people. That's a Simon Sinek quote. Great book is Leaders Eat Last. A lot of people don't, I don't really, like I said, I'm not the best at relationships because I don't have emotional attachments. And I remember when I was in Delaware, I was the same weirdo that I am now. But when you know things 10 years ahead of time and you're trying to get people to rally together to prepare, they don't understand why you acting so crazy. Like I said, they busy playing. They want to have fun. They want to be liked. They want to fit in. And these conversations don't fit in. So let's move on. But that's why I do this shit, right? Because with the intangibles I acquired over time, I can help everybody. But you gotta want to help yourselves first. So let's continue here. Increasing standards of living through providing food, housing, and other basic human requirements, and the main cause of current changes in Earth systems. All right. So economics combined with Earth system sciences is crucial for understanding both positive and negative impacts of alternatives and the trade-offs involved. So think about what we've talked about so far, and you'll understand why they want to understand is crucial for understanding both positive and negative. Because we definitely want to supply some positive impacts on somewhere, and we're also going to want to understand the negative impacts because we're going to want to use that technology too elsewhere. Economics combined with other social, remember this is what we're saying, social and behavioral sciences. This is why you see me spending so much time and effort on mental health awareness. A lot of us don't know that we're crazy. No, I'm just playing. So what I'm getting at is, okay, that's why I spend a lot of time on mental health awareness. To me, crazy is a good thing, because normally by the time you got people calling you crazy, it's because we having these conversations and they just want to talk about they want to talk about the game yesterday. These conversations fatigue a lot of people because, again, we're being conditioned to have short attention spans and to only focus on bullshit that don't matter so that people can make money off of us, while we're actually sacrificing ourselves in the process. And just like every other resource, like I said, go watch the video I did on resources versus source. Once the exploitation of the resource is exhausted, the infrastructure is no longer needed. Oh, you mean like once we have automation to do all the work, the workforce, the human workforce, is no longer needed? Oh, you mean like reduce the population to 500 million for the Georgia Guidestones because, well, now we only need a couple technicians to keep everything running. Like, we don't actually need people to do it. So we can produce the same GDP that we needed 400 million people for altogether. We can now do with 50,000. So why do we need to grow food for 400 million people if we can accomplish the same lifestyle for some group of people that's up here talking about they got goals? I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't in that meeting. I don't know if you were. If you were there, let me know in the comments below. Because now we don't got to feed all the workers anymore because we don't even need the workers. I don't know. That was in some movie or something, right? I'm just... So it's crucial for understanding how it might be possible to shift human behavior toward achieving sustainable development. Now, remember what they're talking about this means. They have to... Let's go back up here to this last paragraph. They want to challenge sustainable development as one of the economic, social, governance systems capable of ending poverty, which we talked about what that could mean, and achieving sustainable levels of population and consumption while securing the life support systems underpinning current and future human well-being. So what this says to me is, down here they're saying, we got to study all this. Economics combined with social and behavioral science is crucial for understanding how it might be possible to shift human behavior towards achieving sustainable development. So we got to figure out how we're going to trick these motherfuckers into saying okay, or acceptance, or acquiescence. Oh, let's give them a whole bunch of fucking distractions and let's divide them against each other. They'll never come together and they'll never understand what's happening. I mean, I know Pasha means general and high-ranking political official, so if it was a chess game and this was these pieces were on the board here and you're just, moving pieces on the board here, I mean, that's basically what you want to do. You want to trick them into accepting, their own fate. Right? That's why the people that, are trying to trick you are mad because you aren't tricked, because they're... You get what I'm saying? That's why you get kicked out of groups. Economics has well-developed fields in development economics. Let me reread that so I make sure I understood that one. Economics has well-developed fields in development economics. Now that's some double talk if I ever seen it. Well-developed fields, economics, development economics. Okay, so let's keep going here. Let's see what they're trying to say. Economics has well-developed fields in development economics. Okay. Ecological economics. Okay, so I got you. So these are different areas of economics that they have basically like scholars in whatever. That's how I'm gonna take that. So they doing some research. They got the whole colleges. You sent your kid to college. This is what they working on. They're gonna hand in their term paper to the professor, and he gonna staple them all together and turn it in as a big ass report to some alphabet and they're gonna collect them all from all the colleges, and then they're gonna have their team go through it and resource and refine their thoughts and processing ideas and send them through computer simulations on quantum computers and have the AI determine what's gonna be the best course of action. All right, you get where I'm going. So with large bodies of research relevant to the Sustainable Development Challenge, the application of economic principles and empirical findings should be a central component in the quest to meet the aspirations of humanity for a good life given the finite resources of the earth. Now, see, that's how you say, we want you to have the best life possible with what we tell you exists. Because think about it. You don't know how much milk they pulling out them cows' titties. Right? So they pull up tomorrow and say, hey, there's a milk shortage. And then everybody's going to run to the store because it's that drink milk. I don't drink milk. It's in cheese and stuff. I try to avoid that shit. But let's say those people that be diehard milk. I like the almond milk, which is juice, but they call it milk so they can market it better. But anyway, what I'm getting at is there's a milk shortage. Now, everybody runs to the store to get milk. Milk's out of stock. Your baby need milk, or you want to give your baby milk. I don't know. Work with me here on this example. It may not be the best example. You get the fuck what I'm saying. So then prices on milk go up. Matter of fact, you just saw this happen with the lumber. You saw it happen with a lot of stuff. Toilet paper. You've seen this before. It's in your lifetime. Weren't you here a couple months ago? I'm not telling you nothing you don't know. I'm just reminding you. And see, some people, they work so hard to create a fantasy life, a fantasy world, that when you pull back the veil for them and say, surprise! You know what I mean? They're like, oh shit, motherfucker, get the fuck out of here. And that's why you get kicked out of groups. So, anyway, what I'm getting at is, like I said, I kind of squeezed in the last paragraph there just because the contents, when I was scanning it, looked so good to tell you. I don't think that the next one is as interesting, although it has some stuff in there dealing with greenhouse gas emissions, and then they're going to say, oh, this guy that won the Nobel Prize, he says do this. So then the people, the people that just say whatever, they repeat whatever the people in suits and a shape up with the clean face that, tell you, and they smile all the time, you know what I mean? And they're going to tell you what they said, and they just going to say they got a Nobel Prize, and like, motherfucker, you ain't even got a shape up. So like, why should I listen to you? Right? That's what they tell you. So but they're going to listen to what they say. Like that doctor guy with the whole whatever that was saying all this stuff about on the news about why you should, and what the whole conditions were and everything. And then people like you and me were like, nah, that dude, that's a setup. And they were like, yo, shut the fuck up, man. People's lives is at risk. You don't give a shit about people. That's your problem. And you were like, nah, I give a shit about people. That's what I'm saying. And they're like, fuck you, man. Wear the mask. And now everybody that, 2 years later, they're like, oh man, they might not have been telling us the truth. They done kicked you out the group already. All right. Thanks for rocking with me. I mean, you get where I'm going. I want to know what you guys think. I know it's not and here's why it's important. I know who I am, okay? And I mean, I know myself is what I'm saying. So I know this may not have been the easiest for some people to sit through and listen to and whatever, but if you made it, it's because you relate to people that I can't reach or won't never reach. And you have the ability to translate this into your own swagger. So I don't need praise. I don't need to be the face of anything. What I need for you to do is go out there and help your people. Help your people. You see, because that's how people are. They have cliques. Most of them. I don't really do groups. I can't stay in them long enough to be a part of a group anyway. They kick me out because I be talking like this, and they be like, "What the fuck are you gonna? You're gonna fuck up everything. We try and get this grant money. We can't have you in here telling what the government's ready to do all this stuff to us because then they won't fuck with us. We want the check." So we're going to get rid of you so we can get the check. Why? Because you actually want to help the people. They are helping their pockets. And I mean, why? Because it's capitalism. That's the name of the game. You want to be up. You want to be up so bad that you don't care who you put down. Even if it's your own people. I mean, not you. You know what I'm saying. Because you here with me. Them. They. Alright? So, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Share the video with who needs to hear this. You know what I mean? Make sure your family's starting to get prepared. Because somebody got goals and they done a lot of fucking research. And they ain't tell us shit about it. They ain't ask you. They ain't ask me. So, now they telling us what they gonna do. Publicly. But some of us, we were saying this 5-10 years ago. That's why you're not in the group. And you gotta also understand that maybe that's why you're not supposed to be in the group, because maybe they're not supposed to be the ones that's gonna remain. I don't know. I mean, it's always the perfect day. Something in them got them saying, we don't want to go that way with you to freedom. We like our captivity. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I push mental health awareness and gaslighting and etymology, because at the core of everything, that's what's going to free us, is understanding. I'm not biblical, I'm not religious, but the book said our people perish due to lack of knowledge. And they counting on a lot of people not knowing this, not reading this. So, let your people know what's up. Pasha Paroh, YNet7. Thank you for tuning. The replay.